drifted alarmingly in the betting was, Felsted in the morning continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Burns.
The ground is soft. It's not.
It's heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
Hello and welcome. Yes, it's Sunday sermon time. And on the back of Variety Club weekend, myself, John Lang and Chris Lorne Malvo are here to chew the fat about all the week's events and your racing gripes and moans and our moans as well and funnies. So John, just start off with this Variety Club weekend, because in the 80s that where Tarby and Bruce had show up and things like that.
Yeah, it's gone a bit tepid, hasn't it, really? You used to have like Tarby and Brucey taking the piss out of Lynchy and
Leslie Krause, Kenny Lynch,
Kenny Lynch,
the golfing mafia, wasn't it? That's what it was.
Yeah, you're not allowed to take the piss out of Lynchy now, though, are you? So
what did you call him? With Nucky Bear,
Roger de Courcy.
Roger de Courcy with Nucky Bear with Boz-eyed Bear. Yeah.
Fantastic. He had another way, he had fucking orange shit ape as well, didn't he?
Keith Harris.
No, that was Keith Harris, wasn't it? With the orange shit ape.
Cuddles
the monkey.
Orange shit ape and Orville.
He'd fucking fit in at Sandown, sniffing all the time, wouldn't he? Remember, he used to sniff Cuddles. He fit right in most race goers, I think, now.
Roddle with Emu, and he fell off his roof.
He did, yeah.
It was him done, consigned to room 101.
Bernie Clifton in his comedy Ostrich, remember him?
Yeah. Who were Schnorbits with that massive dog?
Oh, Bernie Winters.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking terrible that was.
Anyway, TV nostalgia done with.
I was in the Royal Hotel at Scarborough once, and Leslie Crowther was in that Flanagan and O'Hanlon show with Bernie Winters. Yeah. And Bernie Winters was in the lobby with the dog, Schnorbit.
Yeah.
As I was coming out, and the dog pissed in the lobby.
Well, there's a famous story of how most English acts died whenever they played the Glasgow Empire, right? Because it's a graveyard of English comics, and the only two acts that didn't die were obviously Ken Dodd, because he was brilliant and gave great value for money. Max Pygraves, of all people, didn't die because they felt that he'd get off the stage and deliver a few right-handers to anyone who heckled him, so they were a bit wary of him. But when Mike and Bernie Winters came on, did a little act, his little turn, nothing, dead silence. And then Mike Winters would come on from behind the curtains, starting to play a clarinet, and someone from the back said, "Fucking hell, there's another one of the cunts." And that, they just turned on his heels and left, just walked off the stage. That's how bad. There's fucking two of them. Fucking hell.
Nothing worse than than failing to please.
Well, he manages every week.
It's not totally shit. I know. Navalis starts the show off this week with a State of the Union of the weekend. He says, "What a mad world we have entered, where a Cheltenham Festival winner picks up a listed race at Chester, and Ken Pitterson didn't like the look of the favourite in the Solario, putting up a 15-2 shot job."
I missed that bit. For some strange reason, I wasn't privy to Ken's paddock thoughts.
Yeah.
I might have availed myself of some of that 15-2, so I've saved a few quid.
And of course, they're managing in the racing media to mention Constitution Hill is in good nick before we've even had the Ledger job.
Well, it's just a shame there's nothing suitable for him to run in at the minute, isn't it? You can imagine he'll go from being in good nick to a slightly worrying gallop just before the fighting fifth, and then the old preamble will start again. He's never ever going to go chasing, is he?
No.
It's done. It's fucked. It's ruined. The whole fairy story is just not going to happen, is it? So
anyway, we're not talking any more jumps racing. No, it's barred. Fuck you, jumping fans.
Yeah, in fact, fuck saying fuck it as well, because we'll end up with an explicit rating like them other.
Yeah, the other podcast that must not be named. They're not Apple cleaning, of course. We are Apple cleaning, as you'd expect.
Fun for all the family with the bar stewards.
It is. Turn your volume up.
Family entertainment at its finest.
With the kids sat round the old speaker. Yeah, bring them up right.
Who's this Charlie he's on about, Dad?
Yeah. Yeah, that. John, it was nothing really to review at the weekend. It's one of them really like shit racing weekends, isn't it? You've had the Ebo meet, and then of course everyone's waiting now for the Ledger and Irish Champions Day, which I'll come on to now. The Ledger, John, same day as Irish Champions Day. Are we ever going to get Brian Moore riding in the Ledger again?
I don't think we will we? Unless Aidan has absolutely nothing for the Irish champion, which is highly unlikely. I think Brian's ridden his last Ledger winner, hasn't he? Really?
Well, I think the St. Ledger's in serious trouble because, unless, of course, and tune into Bar Steward's Patreon tomorrow with a bloodstock writer tomorrow on the Lion in Winter that won the Acom. Just to give you a little tidbit, he thinks that possibly that could be a Triple Crown prospect for next year. So that's worth a read on, of course, Bar Steward's Extra. Coming back to the Ledger, John, I think it's becoming a Coolmore parade, is it not now?
It is. I mean, how many have we got left in it? About 4 or 5?
Roger Vegetables has killed his.
Yeah.
There's very little, if you like. The Frenchman has got our best chance with Someway, which isn't guaranteed to stay on pedigree. But I know you think the way he shapes in his races, he might stay. But
he looks all about grim determination at the end of 5 miles, doesn't he?
Yeah, so it's one of them. Pedigree says no, but eyes say possibly. Yeah. Sergeant Wilson will be bouncing if he wins a classic. It does look at this stage as though it's going to be Coolmore dominated. But which moron decides to run the Ledger and Leopardstown on the same day? Right, it's another example of racing shooting itself in the foot. And this is where the BHA and Horse Racing Ireland need to get their heads together, because it's a sort of a connected sport between the two countries. And say, look,
why don't we have it on a Friday Saturday?
Yeah, move the Ledger. You'll get loads of crowd.
That Sunday card will be shit.
Yeah,
that's supposedly the climax of the meet.
I just think it doesn't work. You want if you're calling it a classic, then you need every top jockey there. It's no good like Ryan Moore being at Leopardstown when a substitute for Ryan Moore, be it Wayne Lorden, whether they go something like Billy Lee or anyone else. But Billy Lee will probably be at Leopardstown. Yeah, it's one of those. You're getting substitute jockeys for a classic, which is, for me, unacceptable.
Mm-hmm. Very entirely. And
so
it's not like they don't have options, like.
No, you could change it to a Sunday card, like St. Ledger on a Sunday. Yeah. But if you wanted your pissheads in, a Friday night card, sort of matinee at this time of year to be...
Friday night card, run the Ledger about 6 o'clock, and then straight on West Club 7.
The producer's nodding to that, John.
What more could you want, really?
Yeah, she'd be there. She'd be wanting tickets to that. So there you go. That's a producer sold on that idea. Speaking of a producer, Matt Chapman's been on. Yeah, he had a bit to say, did Matt Chapman. He says...
Oh, he's got a Matt, friend of the show.
Yeah. Fuck Matt, really. I have a question. Can the bar stewards explain why at York they were swanning around in the champagne bar while the producer had been thrown into the middle of the track to fend for herself? She's a charming lady, but surely the position should have been the other way round. Should have been in...
I've got this, Lee.
Yeah.
Actually. The producer was doing research for upcoming bar stewards slumming it special, seeing if it's safe for charming ladies on their own in the middle, or if they're habitually accosted by beamer drivers angling for a slice of pie. We were in the Champagne Pavilion because we'd been promised an audience with the man himself, Matt, but he was over the other side ogling the tattoos and the whale-tail thongs.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't have summed it up better myself. But the producer has been going to York longer than I have, believe it or not. No, I mean, as in turning up to York Racecourse since we moved up to York, which was in, I think, 2009. She's been to York in the middle nearly all the time. There we go. She likes it there.
And now she's getting her own.
She loves this game in the middle. Yeah, absolutely.
And give her a follow on Twitter. Now she's got her own Twitter handle.
Yes, the producer at Bar Stewards. No dick pics, though, in DMs. Come on, lads.
Especially when Power Woody's looking after the inbox next week. Come on to a serious topic now.
which is Luke Coolmore Jr. And this is a real sordid affair that I am flabbergasted at this. County Meath-based trainer Luke Coolmore Jr. has had his licence suspended for a year in order to pay €20,000 to the retraining of racehorses group Trio Ella after being found guilty of the regulator of bringing racing disrepute. Now, this regards to a charge of there was 70 dead carcasses found on his land, and he's had a 12-month suspension of his licence. Now, I'm sorry, but this is an incredible, lenient punishment, you'd say, for something. For example, the Irish Horse Racing Board mission statement says, welfare, a relentless focus on the safety and well-being of our human and equine participants, consistently applying a robust governance, exercise our role under the Animal Health and Welfare Act through judicious use of our functions of our authorised officers. Right, I'm sorry, but €20,000 fine to somebody that a son of a billionaire. By the way, John, this isn't his first offence. He was previously hit with a 3-year suspension of his licence and €840,000 in fines and costs after a dozen of his horses was tested positive for anabolic steroids. But a judge overturned that decision, said that that wasn't concrete, this, that, and the other. And it's just money, isn't it? Is it money just buying lenient punishment?
I don't know, really. I mean, the reporting of it's quite vague, isn't it, really? I mean, you can only assume that Luke Coolmore Jr. has offered up some serious mitigation for what's apparently gone on, where maybe he's not entirely responsible for what's happened, you know. I mean, there could always be a situation where they've acted maybe in good faith and somebody's done the dirty. He maybe thought he was getting rid of dead horse flesh and somebody's maybe think they've hit on a good system and they took payments off him and not.
But then why would Coolmore accepted that skeletal remains were found in a forested area on his land at Ginnett's estate, which is ultimately his responsibility, right? So it doesn't really matter. It's your responsibility. You've got 70 skeletal remains found on your property.
I noticed they described it as carelessness. When someone else said, overall, we found that there was a significant carelessness by way of lack of attention regarding horse welfare on the property and proper disposal of carcasses. So it doesn't sound like they're saying anything about treatment of live horses. It's just basically the lack of attention to the disposal of carcasses. So I wonder if his finger's just maybe not being quite on the pulse as regards what's been happening once the wagon takes them out of sight of the yard. That's all I can think of for the leniency of the fine.
Well, given the size of the lad, he might have hit him. But anyway.
You wouldn't want to right hook off him, would you?
No. He's like us, really. Big. Plenty of timber.
See Charlotte or
Yeah. I'm not comfortable with this at all in that I don't know how you can get off with a dozen of his horses testing positive for anabolic steroids, right?
Yeah.
Don't know how you can get off with that, and I don't know how you can get off with this.
Does the Coolmore Group still sponsor the Irish national?
Well, this is it. Like I pointed out, I think it's money, and if you've got money, it works. Life works. You can get yourself out of some precarious situations if you're extremely wealthy, and we've seen that in real life society. So, but that's my opinion. It's not fact. It's just an opinion. But there you go. The penalty is lenient. If they found him guilty of it, right, which they have, €20,000 fine and a 12-month suspended sentence. That for me is absolute bollocks. If you find him guilty, if you're not finding him guilty, he's not guilty. Then say it's insufficient evidence. Let's move along.
Who's the next Coolmore coming up then to take the licence next time?
Baby Coolmore.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got like a conveyor belt of Coolmores, haven't we?
Yeah. The Baby Coolmore.
As each one gets banned, there's another one comes along to take the licence off.
Indeed. We're moving subjects now. After that, we're going to cover sort of like Ponzi schemes in racing, and we'll probably finish with Racing League. But
Mm.
I had an interesting chat with someone this morning that discussing Ammo Racing's finances, and the 27th of March 2023 accounts show that basically their stocks were 14.3 million, and the creditors, these are amounts that are due within 1 year, are 23.2 million, which is a sort of 8 or 9 million shortfall in that accounts. The accounts this year haven't been published. I would honestly say some serious money.
I think Ammo might be running out of ammo.
Ammo might be running out of ammo. But I mean, obviously, Keir Jarabchan himself is a successful football agent, very wealthy man. So I'm not questioning his own solvency in terms of. But is there a point, Chris, where these wealthy guys have had enough of taking on Coolmore and the like and finding the balance sheets not balancing up?
I think it is. It is a very, very difficult task to take on Coolmore, in any arena. You need almost kind of what's the word, GDP type wealth to have any opportunity to even make a chip into them. Because even if you started with an unlimited budget, you don't have the heritage, the expertise, and the legacy that they can bring to the sport. So, starting from scratch will be an enormously expensive undertaking, and I would dare say probably beyond almost anyone on earth. And certainly it's not something that you can come in with a load of money to make any significant dent. You might be able to acquire some horses that win, top races in the first season, but to maintain that momentum, it's virtually, I'd say it's virtually impossible. Notwithstanding the fact that Coolmore have the best people, they have the best pedigree analysts, they have the best breeding program, the best jockey. You might even argue the best trainer. So I think it's tempting for a lot of these guys who are very wealthy. They tend to be egomaniacs because you don't get to be that rich without having enormous self belief. But it doesn't take them long to work out that they are burning money. And I'm afraid I can't see that situation changing. So, it doesn't surprise me that they're doing their bollocks.
Do you think it's like, so say you got a wealthy guy, so, whatever they do in business, you got Clipper, for example, Clipper Logistics, wealthy people, but there's lots of signs that these companies are burning money. I mean, for example, I was amazed that Clipper didn't.
Clipper's a seller, though, isn't he?
Well, yeah, but he didn't turn up at York for his big winner. I find that strange. It could be nothing in it, but I don't know. It just smells of like he has been, like you say, he's a seller. He sells them, but I don't know. There's something not quite right about it all. The same with Ammo. I don't know what the project is. You can't make money on prize money. So if it's a prize money project, that's not going to work. If King of Steel had won the Derby, maybe they'd have wiped the nose in terms of profitability or whatever. But it looks like they're running short. And this is the thing. How long do they continue for? Because, like Chris says, how much to them hurts them.
It's a vanity project. A lot of these guys think that the normal rules of business. I don't know Ammo Racing core business. I don't know whether it's legit. I don't know how it works. But assuming it is a legit business, they think they can apply business rules to the world of bloodstock, and it doesn't work. They are new money coming into the market is always fresh meat. Right, they are there to have their bones picked clean by trainers, by bloodstock agents, by everybody. They aren't. And that's why racing, flat racing, has thrived. That's why bloodstock agents continue to thrive, because they know these people are not blessed with the innate knowledge and heritage that you need to. Look at people like Henrietta Knight still earning a living, picking horses for people. Because they'll look at her track record and go, well, she's a successful trainer, etc.
3 Gold Cups.
Yeah, well, the point is, people in the game know.
Mary Cherry.
Precisely, and they lose their head when they are given entry to what they perceive are the higher echelons of of the social world. A Tory MP once told me that the way to get a Labour MP on side, I mean, not this particular government, is to try and engineer a meeting with the Queen. And he said their knees went weak. And he said you could get them to almost vote with the Conservatives on anything because they've met the Queen or had a private lunch with her, and they get giddy. They lose their heads. So, these kind of guys, once they enter what they perceive to be the highest echelons of society, they lose all reason. Because they assume that these kind of, lords and ladies aren't going to turn them over. And, they're just as venal and greedy as everybody else.
Yeah, interesting sort of thoughts. I finished by saying that he said taking on Coolmore must have broke more banks than Nick Leeson. I mean,
A sensible option, is it? I mean, I wouldn't take him on in a game of fucking rounders.
No, you wouldn't, because so goes to JP and all those kind of guys. And, and Willie Mullins, as we've said before, the very best horses that Mullins buys aren't ever for sale. So when people say, 700 grand for this sort of once race point to pointer, you think, so fucking what? Because Willie Mullins has bought a better one than that, was never been offered for sale. And that's the problem. It's the connections that they've got. Yes, they're great trainers, they're shrewd, but they have access to the right people to get horses at the right price. And anything offered for sale, it's just for the mugs, isn't it? High spending idiots.
I think mental images sometimes. John usually starts it off, but he ain't this time. But it like Magnier coming into bat in vest and pants, with bollocks knocking off at knees, and he's swinging bat, getting ready.
Well, it's been right in the dog world. An Irish dog breeder told me once, that bred classic dogs, and he said that when an English owner came in, the price was doubled. So something he was offering for 20,000 guineas, some once raised pup was a 40,000 guinea purchase because it was an English buyer. Because they'll have them over. And that's the problem. And yet the individual buying those dogs in any other sphere of business was a hard-nosed bastard, profitable. But as soon as animals are concerned, they'll pay because the experts tell them it's 40 grand, whereas in fact it's a 20 grand dog.
It's probably worth thinking on, really, that when they were setting this up...
What, Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the background, isn't it?
Yeah.
Leatherface.
Yeah. He's got a coachload of fucking
That's one that John's got in basement. He's just testing it for later.
Got all those cheerleaders tied up in the basement.
Yeah. Right.
Go on, John.
Coolmore was setting this up. They went through quite a lot of like what you might call new money, and some old money to boot. There was people like that Bob Floor that owned the biggest share in Alleged. He went by the wayside. There was Danny Schwartz that owned the Sprinter, Salinas, and a horse called Gregorian that was pretty good. There was the guy Gallagher that bought into Try My Best before the 2,000 guineas. These are all like late 70s, early 80s people. And Coolmore used them up like face cloths, in all fairness, to get to where they are now. Because, I mean, nothing changes now. Tabor doesn't drop out, Smith doesn't drop out, Westerberg's come in. They're solid, aren't they? But in the early days, I mean, they were using people up left, right and centre to get where they wanted to be. That was them making their impact. So one solo bloke coming in, I don't care how rich he is, he's going to do his bollocks, isn't he?
You pay to learn, don't you? That's the old phrase, you pay to learn, and boy, oh boy.
And there isn't enough money to learn enough to beat them.
No, they've got generational wealth. They're not just rich. They're not just wealthy. It's legacy wealth. It's a sort of wealth that can, disrupt small countries. They've got that much money, but it's not just the wealth. It's the expertise, the knowledge that they've accrued over decades. And you're trying to walk in. You're not going to poach them, are you? You're not going to say, we'll pay you another 50 quid a week. Come and work for us. Fuck off. So where are you going to get people that are better, not just as good as the Coolmore team, that are better?
You might nick a Guineas winner at the sales and give them a bloody nose once in a season. Yeah. They're not going to give a flying shit.
No, really. No. They're going to grind you into the dust, and you will always come out poorer than when you went in.
The key, as always, is the mares, and they have the game by the bollocks with the mares that they have, and that's it. If you've got the mares, it's like Andrew Tate, isn't it?
It is. I mean, look, the Queen of England, who was obviously, whatever you think of her, was, passionate about blood. She couldn't touch them. And she could have, she could have rolled her sleeves up and, and improved the, but, the Queen of England couldn't get near them. No one can get near them. Godolphin, a sovereign wealth money can't get near them. He just can't do it. And it's not like Sheikh Mo hasn't got the money.
Sheikh Mo's breeding operation has been key. Let's not underestimate Sheikh Mo here. But the point is that how it stands now, he's having to send some of his best tackle to America away from sort of Coolmore's sort of dominance. And that's the way, look at Appleby with number of runners at festivals this year. So it proves that that even they're blowing everyone out of the water. In the end, they win. It's like playing Monopoly, and Magnier's sat with 500s, John.
Ah,
And he's already got Mayfair and Park Lane before you start the game.
mhm.
and the 4 stations.
You could argue, and that's not casting aspersions on anyone, that some of these new people, not just in the UK, could be money laundering, of course. So that could explain the losses that they occur year on year. Because if you don't know the source of the wealth, then how do you know that they're just a vehicle to wash money?
Well,
It would be a pretty reasonable vehicle to do so, I guess.
well, okay, then let's talk about source of wealth, the Racing League.
Oh,
Yes.
I know it's the last thing you'll hear, I promise, this year, but it's quite good because Matt Chapman said that all you naysayers have never attended a Racing League meeting, so how do you know you can criticise it? So Woodman, his good self, took his teenage nephew to the event at Seville, the finale, and he summed it up lovely. It's a free-to-read article on
doesn't he
Patreon.
like his nephew?
I don't think so.
Oh.
He doesn't like many people. He doesn't like people. That's the thing.
No.
But anyway, so he gave it a go, and his summary was that it was all a bit partridge. It was like disconnected, Chris. So whilst the crowd was big, the fans weren't watching what all the presenters and everybody and the points and in the paddock. They were just sat round the front
Yeah.
on the tables. So it was like a disconnect. He referred it to the partridge scene where Partridge is at that country fair and he's talking and he just walks off. No one's listening, are you? All right. And he just puts microphone down and walks off. It's the same thing. And I get that. They're trying to make it work because obviously they're being paid to do so. But then I think the 5 million in the hole now, the Racing League, what's this all about, really? They can't make money from it, so why do they keep doing it?
Well, I think the BHA have nailed the colours to it in such a way. It's one of them, isn't it? They've bigged it up to such an extent, and they're not quite sure who came up with the idea in the first place, but they're just having to stick with it. No matter how ridiculous it looks, the longer they stick with it, they're just going to keep sticking with it.
It just is bizarre.
Anybody that could draw a line under it is probably saying, I daren't, because I don't know who came up with this idea, it might cause trouble.
Obviously, it doesn't work in the grand scheme of things. It won't attract a new audience. I think we're pretty clear on that now. We've given it a few years, but they'll probably keep doing it. I don't know why. They keep doing Sugar Cup. That's a load of shit, but they keep doing it. And what have we ended up with Sugar Cup? We end up with like sort of substandard riders from different countries. The best tend not to come. You have a female team, which they would seem to want to win every year. A bit Yawnsville, isn't it? It's just it's all crap that no one's interested in, no one wants to bet on. That's where I'm at on it. But coming on to ticket prices, Fontwell did a ladies' day this week, and it's so funny this. They put a band on after, massive crowd at Fontwell apparently. They ran out of beer after the first.
Jesus.
It's a problem that all these tracks now are jumping on bandwagon. We said it like 2 years ago, just slap Ladies' Day on it, and you just seem to add 2,000 to attendance. Like Ladies' Day.
You know Blucky's coming, don't you, if you do?
Well, yeah. Well, we'll have a best dressed lady, 200 notes for best dressed lady and all that rubbish. Ladies get first free glass of Prosecco or something. I don't know. But what a load of shit. On-course bookies, in general, I don't think are particularly moaning by all this because they're actually getting a bit of trade. Look, I'm not gonna poo-poo ideas. I just wish tracks would get more organised and know what they're doing. And how can you run out of beer after first? I mean, who did beer order?
Julie Harrington, probably.
That little piece, this just for you two, if you haven't seen it. Bert Black, the former owner and founder of Betfair, has been repeatedly asked for affordability checks on Betfair. You can't make this shit up. What is the world now? Every day I wake up and I see something bizarre like an headline or something else like smoking to be banned in pub garden. You know, we'll come on to that in a minute. You get it? It's like it's bizarre. There's something else that comes along. It's like, what? Who's thought of this? I just find that astonishing that the former owner of Betfair is being asked for his papers, sir, papers, to approve you can afford to deposit £5,000 or whatever it is, or whatever he's trying to deposit. Astonishing stuff, really. What a bad world we live in right now. It's terrible. But there we go. Right, a couple of questions before we come to more subjects. Tucker's been on. He finds Mottershead a bit of a hypocrite, claiming about Middle East sponsoring races, wouldn't go over to Dubai to their views on LGBT when the Arabian Nights own the Racing Purse. Well, Luke, first I'm clarify who does own the Racing Purse. The Arabian Nights gave it back to the Racing Purse, but they kept the trademark of the Racing Purse and the Racing Purse lollipop stick, the winning purse, as trademark, so they own that. So in other words, that basically says you ain't selling nothing. So I would imagine they'd have some sort of control over what's maybe said.
They'll all have Racing Post mugs then, won't they?
Yeah, I think so. Or George Strawbridge mugs from Bar Street.
Well, yeah, you definitely want some.
Yeah, who wants a George Strawbridge mug? Shall we start aligning them? Get back to us. I think on that, I think it's one of them that Lee Motter said. I think he does some terrific articles, to be honest.
That was a disgrace last week.
Yeah.
That pie thing.
Yeah.
Who was he recommending? That was that filth that we had at the Dante meeting, wasn't it?
Yeah, the pork pie.
The exploding jelly thing.
Yeah, it's dreadful. They don't have the York pork pies. I'm sorry to the business owner there, but they are shit. I can only say what I've tasted.
They were downright dangerous. I mean, you bit into them, there was jelly everywhere.
Yeah, if you want a good pie, a good pork pie, and you're visiting York next time for a festival and you're here for a few days, go to the Shambles at Ye Old Pie and Sausage Shop. They do fantastic pies, honestly. In fact, the Cornish pasty I had there was the best Cornish pasty, and you're not allowed to say Cornish pasty, or it's like a trademark, whatever. The Cornish pasty is the best Cornish pasty I've ever had, and that's including down Cornwall, anywhere. It was phenomenal. And obviously they do lots of other pies. Pork pies are good. We had pork pies there in the middle on Wednesday from there, decent. That's my advice on the pork pie steaks. Producer wins on that one over Mottershead in the pork pie challenge. Next question. Referring back to ticket prices, Jason Jackson's been on. Says, obviously this week in Spotlight are the Oasis. If racing exclude the major meetings and gigs after meet, gave tickets away for free every day of the year to every event, would they be at capacity? If I got free tickets to my local, Nottingham, I still don't think I'd go. John?
Christ, no. There's places in this country that couldn't pay me enough to go.
Toast, I mean, there's a real life project there, isn't there, since they ended up closing down. Toaster did free admission.
It kind of leaves your tills redundant, doesn't it?
But I mean, you're relying on people then spending on course and betting and creating a. But then you usually get some old folk that think, oh, it's note again. I'll just sit here for the day and watch World go by. I watched Tony McCoy ride his 4,000th winner. Take a right good photo, it jump in last, get 1 million views on YouTube or something or Instagram, and get paid 600 notes. Something like that. Jason, I agree. Look, the free model doesn't work. It wouldn't work. I agree what you're saying, though, in terms of attendance, because these midweek meetings...
You've got to put a product on that makes people want to go. I mean...
That's it.
I mean, if you know that what you're putting on wouldn't fill if it was free, put something better on.
Yeah, there's a famous saying. Obviously, we can't because obviously they're in bed with Big Court, but less is more. Let's look forward to that. Not race Monday and Tuesday, and let's look forward to that nice 3 cars they've put on Wednesday with good fields. It's healthy racing, but no, obviously because more is more for Big Court. They'd have even more meetings on if they could. So, like you said, yeah, absolutely on that one. Coming on to smoking ban suggested by Keir Starmer this week in regards to smoking outdoors in public places, namely like he mentioned like pub beer gardens, etc. That I'm finding this attack on liberty rather concerning. I'm not a smoker, and I would never, ever, ever support a smoking ban ever because I enjoy the company. And you two, Chris, John, are smokers, I believe. Well, I've witnessed it. You two make good conversation. So if you can't be there because you're saying fuck it, I'm not coming if I can't, light one up, then that company's then missing. And I don't give a shit about and outdoors anyway. If someone's sat next to you smoking, unless they like in your close vicinity, really in your close vicinity, and blowing it in your face, you don't really smell much of it. And it's to me, it's the atmosphere. I just think I just wouldn't, and that's my opinion, but it's liberty anyway. I don't believe in curbing liberties that are an enjoyable pastime in this country, and have been for many a year.
Well, Starmer to me is like a recently elected version of the BHA because he's decided that he's going to concentrate on the little piffling bullshit while the bigger job staring him in the face goes untouched. And this is the sort of crap that he's going to come up with over the next 5 years, and doesn't leave one terribly hopeful, shall we say.
Chris.
I think, as we said before, he is an administrator. He's a bureaucrat, isn't it? So you got to, any view you form about Starmer has got to be viewed through the prism of the fact that he is the executive arm of global power. Right, so the UK smoking ban has absolutely nothing to do with smoking or the NHS. That's a red herring. For me, it's a behavioural compliance kind of mass psychology test, just like the useless face mask were during COVID. And the behavioural psychologists who stand behind Starmer want to assess what levels of compliance there are in the UK population if these absurd laws are justified in the name of, in quotes, the greater good. So it's a preliminary test to see how far, this kind of benign tyranny can go with the bogus excuse of justifying his dictatorship under the public health guise. Now, Starmer, for me, is of the kind of patriarchal ilk who believes that rule by experts, right? And he thus delegates the business of policy to think tanks and NGOs. But his party will be comprised largely of unvetted imbeciles who aren't actually bright enough to harbour any kind of real Labour ideology, apart from the kind of default indoctrination of the liberalist multicultural progressionism, which is drummed in universities from birth. It's kind of like a mind virus. But because Labour is incoherent in policy, it's just simply now a vessel for lobbyists, grifters, and those who look to promote corporate agendas, as long as their reps are wearing fucking rainbow lanyards or badges. So the dominant faction doesn't care for the values of the Labour Party. Okay, so long as the likes of Starmer get to enjoy the prestige and the perks of office and the right palms are greased, nobody in the Labour Party is going to oppose that direction of travel on moral grounds, even though many Labour MPs, I dare say, are pretty disgusted by what's happening. So in most cases, the backbenchers will do as they're told without rocking the boat, because a comfortable majority may deprive them of their lucrative political non-job. And as you've seen with kind of the crackdown on gambling via affordability, ultimately it's just another stage in trying to curtail people's civil liberties. And we said this months ago, didn't we? We said, what next? Holidays, days at the pub, theatre tickets, football season tickets. So now they've come for smoking, and they're going to try and push it as far as they can until they get pushed back. But the direction of travel is to stop people doing what they want, because we are led by people who think they know they are better morally and intellectually than us. And there's nothing more sinister than that. It is as sinister as that. It's nothing to do with health.
Troubling times. Of course, it's all in consultation. But like you say, you started off by saying it's all to do with like testing the water. They want to see what sort of level of public can we roll with this, and as they always do. And obviously, I think this is a non-dom. This is a no-go.
I'll give them some water to test. You have had too much on one in next year's gold trees, and some fucking test has got me having it bad.
Well, you see the thing about it is he's the executive arm, as you've said before, of the people that actually control him. He is the executive arm of the real power, and the real power is saying we want to stop people, driving diesel-powered motor cars. We want to stop people smoking, drinking, gambling, enjoying themselves. And and ultimately, as COVID showed us, there are a significant population of number of people in this country who are happy to have the state decide how they live their lives. That's the problem. The fact there hasn't been riots should give him comfort. You know, because people, apart from, you know, the Southport riots and the civil disobedience, which he cracked down on ruthlessly, you know, people are going, well, right, then I'll have to stand under a bus shelter 200 yards away from the pub because I'll have a fag. Whereas really, this is the time for people to say, no, we're not going to do it. So it is an exercise in social control. And anyone who thinks this is tin hat rubbish just hasn't read the runes. 5 years ago, I'd have said, oh, yeah, you're mad. This is David Icke stuff. But now, I think there's no other explanation for it.
No. Another good question here before we come on to some funnies. Trainer Geezer's been on. I wonder if he is a real trainer. Trainer Geezer.
Oh, he's a geezer.
Yeah. Oh, might be a woman.
It could be Jenny Pittman.
Could be. He said that he's put Morning John. No inclusion here. I'll start by.
I might refuse to answer the question then.
I'll start by confirming this isn't a paid promo. Since starting Barstew's Edge, have you guys had to change your approach at any point? Has it taught you anything new about the game? And have you had to focus on different races than you may have previously? It's a good question because we can transfer this into just a normal betting question in that how has the sort of game changed recently? Well, I said on Barstew's Edge recently in a State of the Union that I feel Betfair SP will probably beat 11 a.m. prices. And this is because bookmakers at towards 11 a.m., obviously everything's being smashed and they over-egg the pudding with the cuts. It'll be smashed by other tipsters into 7 to 4 or whatever. You might still think it's value, but that doesn't matter. It's the fact that it'll be 3.3 on the machine, but 7 to 4 with the books. And you know for a fact it ain't going to go off probably shorter than 7 to 4, but as a judge, if I've got something 5 to 4 or 6 to 5 and it's still 7 to 4, then like I have to ignore what's taken place prior to that and imagine that there's been no market moves and 7 to 4 is still good. But that's what's changed is the mass cutting of prices. They're very sharp to cut them. Back in the day, it was lovely. It was 11 to 2, 5. It was all very civilized. 9 to 2, 4, 7 to 2, 10 to 3. Now it's 11 to 2, 3. 9 or 4, 7 or 4. It's as if like they're treating racing now like flapping racing. That's the only thing that's changed for me. I don't change my focus on what I know. Probably the same with you, John. You've probably done what you've always known. Is that true?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, nothing's changed for me since Edge started, for definite. I mean, I have to be honest, Edge is a service that I don't personally contribute an awful lot to. I'd make that known because Edge provides a fairly steady stream of winners, and it wouldn't tend to be at the part of the market I play at. There'd be very few suitable Edge selections I'd come up with. Maybe this time of year, you might find I'm a bit more active between now and the end of the season because there'll be a lot of maidens coming out that I have notes on that things will have to run to 90 odd to beat. You know, in the middle of the season, I'm quite happy to defer to superior judges on the front end of the market.
The services that we run is the front end of the market because we know that accounts can't last if you tip in at 33s, 25s, and 20s. They end up bolting up, say, 8s or 9s. The books don't like it. They think they can beat you on 6 to 4 shots and 2 to 1, 3 to 1 shots. They're more than happy to sort of think it's not hurting us. They're winning, but it's not hurting us. It's not causing mass damage, and that's sort of how Edge is. Chris, views on that?
I couldn't add anything to it. I think you've nailed it. I think that's exactly what it's about, isn't it? Now it's just another depressing scenario that we've come to deal with, isn't it? It's just the way it is.
I think it's dealing with markets, like change how the game's changing. And we know we're in end of days. We know possibly not long left. Let's enjoy it while we can, whatever we can get on, even if it's only £20 or £25.
Let's enjoy it with a smoke in the open.
Yeah, let's. Fucking hell.
That was a safer private ambulance.
Right. It's gone from Texas Chainsaw to like fucking Casualty. Hang on. Join the dots, Chris.
Yeah, he's obviously fucking done the deed, isn't he?
The chainsaw. Anyway, another chuckle today. Chris Poole said, "Is Thady Gosden Thunderbird?"
Yeah.
He's like Virgil, isn't it? It's like
his dad's Jerry Anderson, really, and he's made in the fucking factory in Studios or somewhere. Yeah,
that could be Thaddeus' new thing. You know, if they ever do like a Thunderbirds,
live action.
yeah, get like Thaddeus should like audition. He's got the eloquent tone.
Oisin Murphy's a fucking shoe-in for any role he wants. He reminds me. I keep looking for the strings whenever I see him talk on TV. Honestly, fucking hell. I mean,
Like
yeah,
somebody just pulls a card, don't they, and the cassette kicks in.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Captain Scarlet, any of those, yeah, the certainty for that.
John, what's this about stable staff always to blame over cocaine? Is this to do with
Ed Warfel?
Yeah.
We've had this before, haven't we? And traces of cocaine found, and then it must be the stable staff. Well, why must it? You know, it could be
The
anybody.
trainers don't be daft. The trainers don't partake in this.
Yeah, no. In which case, I stand corrected.
It's always the stable staff, like you say.
Well, that's it. Obviously, you know, the less you earn, the more likely you are to be scum. So, yes, let's blame the staff.
The only thing is, people don't realise the cost of it.
Well, exactly. You're doing well if you can develop a coke habit on a stable staff's wage.
I'd say so. Definitely. Right. So Bert from Doncaster has come on with a question saying, which band would you like to see reformed if you were able to bring them back? John?
Well, this is one people might not be expecting. And the band I'd like to see reform would be Quantum Jump. One-hit wonders with their song The Lone Ranger. Because I'd kill 8 hours minimum to hear this again.
Fucking hell.
Right. Quantum Jump. Interesting. Chris?
The Choir of the Wehrmacht. I think I quite like to hear them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, but bands, I don't know really. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure. I think they're all shit. Everything's shit, I think, for me. Yeah, everything's shit. Music's shit. Society's shit. Films are shit. Books are shit. It's all shit. But yeah, nothing for me. Fuck them all.
Wouldn't you say the obvious one is like Freddie Mercury? Totally obvious mainstream, but
yeah.
Queen, like with Freddie Mercury.
The kind of never really deformed. Is that the correct phrase? I mean, apart from him croaking, they've always like carried on, haven't they? They've just lacked the front man a bit.
Well, yeah, he were irreplaceable, that thing, in terms of voice. So,
but never really dug Queen. I have to say. I mean, not my cup of tea. But yeah, I mean, look, I mean, yeah, I suppose so. But doesn't really float my boat, to be honest with you. Pop music isn't for me. See, the problem is I like jazz. But if you say you like jazz, you are immediately labelled as a pretentious twat. Yeah, totally. Because 98% of jazz fans go, "Oh, have you listened to Stolen Moments?" But only the take where you can hear Eric Dolphy skinning up a joint between the third and fourth tracks. You know, that's how pretentious they are. But I love jazz, but I don't like people that like it because all the people I know who are into it are like really, really pretentious, and it just ruins it, I think. But jazz would be, any, like, I don't know, the Dave Brubeck Quartet I'd like to see come back, but again, people go, "Oh, what a knob!" So
Cleo Lane and John Danquist.
Yeah, I don't mind John Danquist. I like a lot of his 50s English jazz stuff is really good. Once you got Cleo Lane in, not my cup of tea, but yeah, his early stuff is really very hip.
Stephen Thomas says, fancy Strictly Come Dancing. Racing theme. There are 6 female professional dancers. Mrs. Pittman, Venetia, Hayley Turner, Meg Nichols, Emma Spencer, and Bryony Frost. Which 6 male racing personalities would you pair with the above to create sparks and chemistry? Well, the obvious one is Bryony. You'd stick Robert Dunn with Bryony, wouldn't you? Definitely. It might be whirling it round like an helicopter beforehand. So it'd be Robert Dunn and Bryony. Emma Spencer.
I actually worked my way through these, and
go on, John.
I thought, well, Jenny Pittman, obviously, you pair her with Jamie Osborne. She'd just grab him by the ankles and see how far she can throw a midget, wouldn't she, really?
Beat him up.
Yeah, Venetia, I thought she'd maybe do some dirty dancing and maybe Storming Norman.
Yeah.
I think you've got to remember as well on Strictly these days that they like box ticking, don't they? And they often have a couple of blokes dancing together. So I'd stick Haley Turner with Emma Spencer. I just think that'd be fun to watch.
Name a diversity.
Yeah. As we're an award-winning podcast, I'm going to class myself as a personality and dance with Megs because I move like a dagger. And then I thought maybe for poor old Brian, he would maybe go with Dale Gibson, Tom Sco, AP, and Stopper Dunn, all throwing around like a pull toy.
That's a brilliant. I don't think you're beating that, Chris. Chris,
No,
have you any
no
thought on
chance.
that?
None at all.
I think he's nailed it again.
Yeah.
Samuel the Cat, to finish the show, boys. God has finally done you a favour. He has decided.
Yeah, he killed us off. Yeah.
That's it, yes. Yeah, he sent Noah and the Ark in again and flogged
Yeah.
the bastards, you know. Like. He's decided to rewind you to 18 years old, happy, healthy, and good looking again. What would you do differently? I.e., would you get married? What career path would you go on? And what life rules would you advise your younger listeners? Says Samuel the Cat. Who wants to go first?
It's a good question, isn't it? I would say this, and this is actually a serious piece of advice to any young person. I would say take risks because at that age you've got nothing to lose. You've got no dependence. You haven't got a sort of a welter of debt around you. I would say do what you want to do, and if it goes wrong, start again. Don't listen to people that want you to pursue a particular career path because by the time you work out that it's not for you, it's too fucking late. So, as I say to my boy, you want to do something, might sound crazy, don't agree, just fucking do it. Do it. Take a risk. And if you go skint, wipe your mouth and get back on your horse. And I think that is genuine advice for anyone who's in the early stages of their life.
Good stuff. John, what would you?
I wouldn't do anything differently. I've had an absolute whale of a time. I wouldn't advise anybody to try to get into racing now because it's fucked. Advice for younger ones. When you get to 25, have a bloody good sift of the 30-odd people you think are good friends and get it down to half a dozen that would take a bullet for you. Don't live your life for the approval of others. You're the only one that has to live with it, and you can always lie about what you do, where you live, or how much you earn, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I've had such a good life from racing. So career path wise, would I do something different? Absolutely not. On the life that I've had, but like John says,
the fun that you have with the people you meet. I mean, Jesus Christ, we wouldn't have met people we hooked up with over the years, you know. I mean,
no, it's been a phenomenal life and a phenomenal experience, and every person that I'm either with now or I've had acquaintances with and still friendly with are all like gems, and I've got absolutely no problems with any of that. The only thing I would say as advice to youngsters is never have regrets, right? Regrets cause negative thoughts and bad thoughts because if you don't forget, you'll go through your life and it's a case of you're going to make some great decisions and some poor ones. And when you look back, if you're looking back a lot and looking at the poor decisions, this is what gets you and gets you down and weighs on your shoulders, right? You must never have any regrets because there's not one person on this planet that is perfect and does everything the right way and does it perfectly. They will always make mistakes and break a rule or two or do things wrong. So my advice is always look forwards every day of the week. Look forwards as short a term as possible as well. Don't plan massively ahead. It'll stress you out. Anxiety wise, it stresses you, right? Just keep it real, keep day to day, live your best life every day. And like I said, no regrets whatsoever, even on mistakes. Because if you start looking back like that and saying, I should have done this, I should have, would have, could have, it absolutely destroys your soul. And don't do it. So,
and take cod liver oil even when you think you don't need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once
take loads of it.
The fuck, that's it.
Yeah, get pushed around a bit. Yeah. Bit of Ironside there. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed the show, chaps. That's all from me, John and Chris this week, and we're back as usual next week with a Bar Steward special sermon. It will be on betting stories. That's all from us. Bye for now.